Welcome to Front Office Pros. We are entering into week 12 of the fantasy football season, and you're probably getting close to your trade deadline. So Joe and I have a few trade targets to help you make the playoffs and win your league.
Hike!
All right, my first trade target, I'm going to go with wide receiver Davante Adams. He's a guy that I like going forward with this new philosophy change on offense and the head coach switch. You got Aiden O'Connell in there, and he's been really liking the target Davante Adams. He's given him the shots down the field that you really like to see. And even, Adams doesn't have the worst schedule coming up, but I'm not really too concerned even if he had a bad one, just because he's really one of the few matchup proof wide receivers in the league. So I'm not too worried about that. And some guys that I'd potentially trade for Adams, I feel like similar value. I think it'd be tough to trade Puka. I'd be willing to trade Jalen Waddle. Guys like Jalen Waddle. Maybe a guy. I think I might even consider trading a guy like Mike Evans as well for Davante.
Yeah, interesting with Davante Adams. Past 2 weeks, since Aiden. Okay, so I think Aiden O'Connell took over during the Giants game. So he had 7 targets then. Then the Jets game, he had 13 targets. And the Miami game, he just had 13 targets. So he's getting a heavy amount of targets and a heavy amount of target share. This week he had 7 catches, 82 yards, and a touchdown. He's got the Minnesota Vikings, the Chargers, and the Colts on the schedule. Chiefs are, 2 games against the Chiefs, which are a little tougher. But Raiders, for whatever reason, do play the Chiefs, to the end of the bell. There is a bye week in week 13, though. That's not the best thing for Davante Adams, if you were to acquire him. But no, I see where you're coming from with that angle.
Yeah, maybe you're a team that knows that you punch the ticket for the playoffs, so that week 13 bye week doesn't really hurt you. Could be a good time to go ahead and acquire Davante Adams.
So my first trade target is going to be tight end David Njoku, the guy I've been down on for most of the year. But like we talk about a lot, Joe, a rookie's best friend is a tight end, and boy did DTR target David Njoku quite a lot against Pittsburgh. He got 15 targets, 7 catches for 56 yards. The tight end landscape is just abysmal. It's hard to really trust any tight end, but if you're getting that many targets, you must be doing something right. And his schedule down the stretch is really good. He's got the Broncos next week, which are the 32nd best matchup. You got the Rams, who are good, Jaguars, Bears, Houston. The only one that's really not the greatest is the Jets on week 17. But going down the stretch here, I think Njoku's really got some nice values here. I'd be willing to trade away to acquire him. I'd be willing to trade Taysom Hill, too fluky for my liking. I want someone a little bit more consistent. I know Hill could win your matchup, possibly because of his flukiness, but I like Njoku. I would trade Evan Ingram to acquire him as well. Those are kind of a few guys. And then, just based on the tight end landscape, because it's so shallow, you could probably trade guys like the likes of maybe even like a Drake London. I could see maybe someone would be willing to do that. So I say go ahead and try to trade for David Njoku.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, we've never questioned David Njoku's talent. I mean, his talent's always been there and his ability, just he hasn't always been heavily utilized. I feel like Watson doesn't really look to him that much, but like you mentioned, DTR, the rookie, a lot of times the tight end is the safety blankets for these young quarterbacks, and certainly looked like it today against the Steelers.
So are you enjoying this video so far? Well, if you are, show your support to our new channel by hitting the subscribe button and liking this video. We'll be creating videos all NFL season long, so you're not going to want to miss what we have in store. So Joe, who do you have as your second trade target?
Second trade target, I'm going to go with Zach Charbonnet. I think now is going to be the time to go ahead and acquire him. We saw Kenneth Walker, leave the game today with an oblique injury. Those can be tough injuries to come back from. I'm expecting he could possibly miss a few weeks at least. That obviously obliques, mess with everything when you're trying to just run and move and everything like that and trying to take hits. That'd be pretty painful to try to play through. So I like Charbonnet going forward. I mean, he doesn't have the best schedule. Got the 49ers coming up on Thursday night, then the Cowboys on another Thursday nighter, 49ers again, and then the Eagles and Titans to kind of close it out in week 17. But I mean, those teams can be decent against the run, but Charbonnet's just an all-purpose back. I could see them getting him utilized in the passing game. So I think because of his receiving ability and his all-purpose back, I think he could still be valuable for fantasy. I think you might be able to take advantage of, maybe Jaylen Warren's big game that he had today against the Browns. Obviously, I'd also be willing to trade Najee. Maybe I think it'd be tough, but maybe somebody like, James Cook or Brian Robinson as well.
Yeah, when it comes down to Zach Charbonnet, this is a guy I really had high hopes for at the beginning of the year. And a part of the reason was my speculation of them drafting him in the second round, and that kind of giving alarm bells and find that it would be more of a together, they'd be used together. But this is what I saw could happen with him. I think the matchup isn't the best. Matchups going forward aren't the best. So it kind of caps his upside. But I kind of thought he could be a league winner because of what Kenneth Walker did when Rashad Penny got down. He was injured, went out for the year, and then Kenneth Walker just took off. And he was a guy that if you picked up or were patient enough to hold him on your bench, you were rewarded greatly. I felt Charbonnet would fit that mold. And now with the oblique injury, that's going to hamper Kenneth Walker quite a bit. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes on injured reserve, which means that now Charbonnet has now got that backfield on lock. So I think, I like the move. And depending on your league mates who have him, he might be out there on the waiver wire, honestly, depending on how, shallow your leagues are. I would go ahead and pick him up. Absolutely. He'd be the number one priority. If he's out there, not every, person in your leagues are going to watch all the games. So it might take him a few days before Walker gets reported that he's injured or, is going to get injured reserve or whatever. So this is the time to jump. Try to reach out, see if you can't make a deal. I think it makes a lot of sense. So my other trade target that you should trade for wide receiver Courtland Sutton. It's music to your ears. Did you know, Joe, that Courtland Sutton currently ranks as the second receiver when it comes to receiving touchdowns? He's at 8. The only one that's better than him right now is Tyreek Hill at 9. He has been on an absolute tear. And I want to say he's had a touchdown now in 5 straight games, or it may even be 6.
5 straight.
Okay, 5 straight. Okay, I had it right.
Yep.
So, see, the Broncos fans are on top of it. But, when it comes down to it, his matchups come down the stretch are not that bad. You got the Chargers twice. You got the Patriots, and you got the Lions. I don't necessarily like the next 2 weeks with Cleveland and Houston. Those were tough matchups. But Courtland Sutton has been a guy that's been very reliable for this Broncos offense. He is the guy that in a crunch and in a pinch, they're going to throw it up to him. And he, time and time again, he's made the play. He made the play against the Bills. He made the play against the Vikings to extend the drive, even though it would have been pass interference anyways, but he still made the catch. Really impressed with him. We wondered what Russ was going to be like a year ago, and there was so much buzz and hype that Sutton and Judy were going to be these great players. I don't know if Courtland Sutton is actually going to, he doesn't get enough volume, but he's a consistent guy. And having a consistent guy week in and week out is huge. I don't see him slowing down at all, to be honest with you. So as far as who I'd be willing to trade away to acquire him, I'd be willing to trade away Jordan Addison. Justin Jefferson's going to be coming back. I would much rather have Courtland Sutton. I'd be willing to trade Calvin Ridley off his hot game. He kind of had new signs of life. Don't think it's consistent. I think this was a good matchup against the Titans where, Sutton, in my view, has been battle tested. He's been, doing it, more consistently. I think he's just more hot. I would trade away Deontay Johnson. or Pickens, to be honest with you. I mean, how could you trust Kenny Pickett at this point? I mean, that offense just looks absolutely abysmal. It's just I don't have I can't even talk about it. It's just really bad. And then like guys like T Higgins, with Joe Burrow out, I don't know if you'd be able to pull it off, but I trade him away. Chris Godwin, Marquise Brown, Zay Flowers. I'd be willing to trade all those guys to acquire Courtland Sutton. Not that I think he's going to be, making you win your league with the upside he has. I just think he's very consistent. And having guys that are consistent and not going to be up and down is really, really helpful. So that would be my recommendation.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, he's just a few more plays and receptions to have a high ceiling too if he somehow gets utilized more. But I mean, right now he's been pretty much a lock to get a touchdown. I mean, that's 5 straight weeks. He got 8 on the year. Pretty remarkable considering Broncos lately have seemed to struggle scoring touchdowns, but he's still been the one mainstay. And like you said, comes crunch time and the Broncos got to have it. He's the go-to guy.
And look at Judy had an opportunity, went right off his hands like butter. So, Sutton just has, Sutton's the guy. He just has much more trust. You saw him coming out recently, which, I know Stephen A. Smith has, kind of told him to shut up, but, basically saying like, hey, you need to apologize, to Russ because Russ has been getting so much flack, which I think he has gotten too much. But so seeing him support his quarterback like that, you could tell the two of them are really locked step right now, I think.
Yeah. I mean, Russell Wilson touched on it after the game tonight against the Vikings as well. Just said him and Sutton have been putting in the work, and Courtland Sutton also had a disappointing year last year, but he put a lot of work in the offseason, lost some weight, built some more muscle, really trying to still come back from that ACL injury he had. And you see he's returned more to the form, prior to that injury than he played last year.
Right. Whereas like Judy is a me guy in my view. Sutton I think is more of a team guy.
Yeah, I mean, just the one nice thing about Sutton is he gets those contested catches. Obviously, you see Judy just needs to be open, and that's the one frustrating thing. He needs to get better with the contested catches, the tough catches. I mean, like you said, that one touchdown goes off his hands. He's got to have that.
So that does it for our Week 12 trade targets. Hopefully you find value in this video. Go ahead and put some comments below. If you have some trade ideas that you have and you want to get our feedback, that's what we're here for. Put your comments below. Hopefully it'll help you as you get closer to your trade deadline. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time.